Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into a topic that I think is pretty fascinating.
Always up for a good deep dive. Let's hear it.
Today, it's all about food choices and their potential impact on living a longer, healthier life.
Well, that's a good one.
I found two articles that really caught my eye. One focusing on those blue zones, those regions where people seem to live forever.
Right, those areas with remarkably high numbers of centenarians.
Exactly. And the other article is all about quinoa, that ancient grain favored by the Incas.
Quinoa. I'm always up for learning more about that.
And get this, there might be some unexpected connections between the two.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack these sources and see what we can learn.
So the blue zones concept, it's not just about one magic food, right? It's a whole lifestyle.
Absolutely. The Blue Zones Project actually outlines 9 lifestyle characteristics that contribute to longevity.
9. Wow. But diet is a major one, right?
Oh, absolutely. Diet plays a crucial role, and what's interesting is that the Blue Zones diets are largely plant-based.
That makes sense. I remember reading that meat consumption in those areas is pretty low.
Yeah, on average, they only consume about 20 pounds of meat per year.
20 pounds a year? That's wild. I feel like I'll eat that in a month.
Well, the standard American diet, what we often call SAD, is a stark contrast.
SAD is right. So much processed food, sugary, drinks, unhealthy fats.
Right. So maybe ditching those drive thrusts and embracing those gardens is a good place to start.
Okay, gardens noted, but what exactly does a Blue Zones diet look like?
Well, the Blue Zones Project has identified 11 specific dietary guidelines that provide a pretty good roadmap.
11. Give us some highlights.
Well, they prioritize whole, minimally processed foods,
Hmm.
things like beans, lentils, whole grains, nuts, fruits, vegetables.
Okay, that sounds pretty doable so far.
Meat consumption is minimal, like we talked about, and dairy intake is also limited.
Interesting. They don't do a lot of dairy. Huh.
Some blue zones consume dairy from goats or sheep, but it's in moderation.
So not exactly loading up on cheese the way many of us do.
Exactly. And eggs are also consumed minimally compared to typical Western diets.
Okay, so focusing on plant-powered foods, minimally processed. Got it. But is there anything they enjoy that's maybe not so healthy?
Well, they do enjoy a glass of red wine occasionally, in moderation, of course.
Those Blue Zones folks.
Yeah.
They know how to live.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, this aligns with a lot of what we're hearing about healthy eating these days, right?
Absolutely. These dietary choices echo what research is showing about the benefits of a plant-forward diet for things like heart health, weight management, even cognitive function.
It's like they were ahead of the curve.
It's fascinating how ancient wisdom often aligns with modern science.
It really makes you think. Now, this makes me wonder about the quinoa connection.
Oh, yeah. How does this ancient grain tie into the Blue Zone's principles? Let's explore that next. So we've got these Blue Zone folks living long, healthy lives, and now we're bringing quinoa into the mix.
Exactly. And it's not just any grain, right? This was considered sacred by the Incas.
Oh, absolutely. They called it Chisaya Mama, which translates to mother grain.
Mother grain. I love that. But isn't it actually a seed?
You're right. It's often grouped with grains, but technically it's a seed and a complete protein source at that.
A complete protein. No wonder it was so revered.
And get this, the Spanish colonizers actually tried to suppress quinoa cultivation.
Really? Why would they do that?
Well, they recognized its cultural significance to the Incas and saw it as a threat to their control.
Wow, talk about a powerful seed.
Ah,
It's amazing how food can be so intertwined with history and politics.
absolutely. Thankfully, quinoa is making a comeback.
It's being hailed as a superfood these days, and for good reason.
Let's break down some of those benefits. High in fiber, complete protein source packed with essential minerals like manganese and magnesium.
And don't forget those antioxidants,
Mhm.
protecting ourselves from damage.
Right. And what's even more impressive is quinoa's resilience.
Oh yeah, it can grow in some pretty harsh conditions, right?
Think about it, poor soil, salty soil, even at high altitudes.
And it requires less water than many other crops.
Exactly, making it a potential solution for global food security.
It's like a superhero of the food world. Now, if we circle back to those Blue Zones principles,
We see how beautifully quinoa aligns with those dietary guidelines.
plant-based, high in fiber and nutrients, minimally processed.
It's almost like the Incas were giving us a sneak peek into those longevity secrets all along.
That's an awesome connection. So how can we get more of this mother grain into our lives?
Well, one of the best things about quinoa is its versatility.
Oh, I know. You can put it in pretty much anything.
Salads, soups, stews, you name it.
You could even have it for breakfast, like a warm quinoa porridge.
Exactly. And there are tons of creative recipes out there.
The article we read had some amazing ones.
So many delicious ways to enjoy it.
It's like we've been handed a treasure map to longevity. And quinoa is one of the key ingredients.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making those small but impactful changes.
Swapping white rice for quinoa a couple times a week, experimenting with new recipes.
Those little shifts can make a big difference over time.
It's like taking those ancient longevity secrets and weaving them into our modern lives.
Exactly. And remember, food is meant to be enjoyed.
You know, it's really inspiring how these ancient cultures, like the Incas, were so in tune with what their bodies needed.
They really were ahead of their time in a lot of ways.
It makes you think, what if we could create our own, like, longevity menu based on everything we're learning?
That's a great idea, sort of a personalized blueprint for a longer, healthier life.
Taking those blue zones principles and that quinoa versatility and saying, okay, how can I make this work for me?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? You could start by just swapping out white rice for quinoa a couple of times a week.
Yeah, or trying that quinoa porridge for breakfast.
Small changes can make a big impact over time.
It's like taking those ancient secrets and weaving them into our modern lives.
Exactly. And remember, food is meant to be enjoyed, so make sure you're choosing things you genuinely love.
That's such a key point. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be a delicious adventure.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. I know I'm feeling inspired to rethink my own eating habits.
Me too. I'm already craving some quinoa.
I think I'm going to try one of those recipes from the article tonight.
Sounds delicious. I hope our listeners are feeling inspired as well.
Maybe they'll try a new quinoa recipe
Yeah.
or do some more research on those blue zones.
There's so much to learn and explore when it comes to food and longevity.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, on that note, happy cooking, everyone. And here's to a long and delicious life.